This video contains content that may be confronting.
An Israeli military investigation into the killing of 15 Palestinian medics and emergency workers claims poor night visibility and operational failures led to the attack. One deputy commander has been sacked as a result and could face charges. Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran is in Jerusalem.
The internal inquiry was prompted after widespread outrage over this attack, not only because the men were killed while working as medics and humanitarians and should have been protected under international law, but also the fact that they were buried in a shallow grave in what had been seen as an attempt to cover up the attack. The inquiry says there were 3 pre-dawn attacks on March 23. One ambulance had been fired upon by Israeli troops after being identified as a Hamas vehicle. The second attack happened when a convoy of ambulances and a fire truck rushed to find them. The inquiry found that poor visibility was a factor, and troops only figured out they were ambulances after opening fire. There was a third attack when a UN vehicle arrived at the scene shortly after. That was fired upon because of what the IDF says were operational errors. The IDF says there is no evidence to suggest that the men were executed or that they had been bound before they were killed, labelling any allegations like that as, quote, blood libel against Israeli forces. But there are still gaps in the IDF's inquiry, at least in the public statement it has now made. The IDF has not addressed the fact that there is video showing the ambulances using their emergency lights, despite claiming poor night visibility was a factor here. The IDF also insists that 6 Hamas fighters were killed, but it's only named one of them and hasn't provided any further evidence there. There is also one Palestinian medic still unaccounted for, with the International Red Cross believing he is being held by Israeli forces. The IDF says a decision to remove the bodies and bury them was reasonable, but crushing the vehicles alongside them was wrong. It says its forces were not trying to conceal the attack and had been in discussions with organisations such as the UN about retrieving the bodies. The IDF says the deputy commander of the battalion involved in the attack has been sacked, and it's also referred the findings of this inquiry to the military's lawyers, suggesting that there could be charges, military charges, laid against some individuals into the future, although that is not, of course, confirmed. The IDF says it regrets the fact that civilians were involved in this attack, but it has again added that this happened in a dangerous combat zone.